with tears of blood. Shall we begin? Shall we begin? Shall we begin? Told you it doesn't matter what your name is. It doesn't matter what your sign says. Yeah, you're right. It doesn't matter who you are and not. It doesn't matter what her name was.
Lose you, and I don't know where I am going to. Silk suit, like that. I don't need a reason why they come running just as fast as they can. Every girl crazy about a shot that's me. About a shot glass man.
The chat. What's going on, brothers and sisters? Good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. Greatly appreciate it. Without further ado, I'm just going to get this party started. With me is, of course, the savage himself, the man with a peen so lean they come from Alpha 16, Immortal motherfucking Coil.
What is happening, my savage friends? You are listening to the voice of Immortal Coil, your oracle of whiskey mysticism. Revolution is my name. It's good to see you guys in 2025, brand new president, start of a magnificent 16-year cycle. How are you doing, Steven?
I'm doing pretty good, big guy. I'm doing very well, and it's good to see you. I've missed you. I missed you last week, but I had to complain about the government.
We didn't get our cuddle time.
Yeah,
somebody else was a
struggle.
spoon.
I'm not the little spoon. I don't care. That's not happening. Before we say hail to the chat, I want to introduce the newest rogue to join the team. Guys, please, if you would, welcome Juliette of War. What's going on?
Hi, how are you guys?
I'm doing very well. How are you doing tonight, Sparky?
I'm rather decent, but did you say 2025? That's rude.
We can't listen. The clock keeps moving. All right.
Time's not real.
We're going metaphysical. We're going metaphysical already. That's the guy you can talk to about that.
You have to tell me the limits in the beginning because I will toe every line.
There is no limit. Just be yourself. That's the only rule around here.
I can promise that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for being here. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Juliette. We hooked up on TikTok, and I saw your poetry, your videos, which are very good. So what do you do over there?
What I don't do is probably a shorter list. I'm an author, so I have my poetry book set to publish in a couple of weeks is the goal that keeps moving. I published a children's book last year. I'm an artist, a lover girl, hopeless romantic, coach, friend, survivor.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much. What is your focus on your channels?
Currently, I try to double-edged sword it for myself. Poetry and what I post, it's from me. But I've been gaslit so much that I don't want to keep it in my body. Body's not a graveyard. But it gets it out of me into something tangible that I can look back and remind myself that really happened. It just so happens the way that I have been able to put words to really nuanced and layered emotions, complex things, has seemed to resonate with a lot of people.
It takes a lot of strength to not only heal after you've been through an abusive relationship, especially with a narcissistic person, and to put yourself out there again after you basically have to reclaim who you are. You've got to search within yourself to figure out who you were, because you get gaslit, you get told that you're something that you're not, and then
they erode the identity. I have been asked, like, who are you? I don't know. I don't know. I only know who I am not. Who I'm not. And it's been that kind of process of elimination for me to move forward. Because if I say I am this, my brain will only be that. And I don't want to hit a ceiling as far as growth goes. But I know where the hell I'm not going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely, sister. Absolutely. Well put. Before we continue on, I just want to say hello to the chat out there. Sarah's out in the chat. What's up, Sarah? Good to see you. One of my good friends and clients, one of my very first client. I'm going to go see Sarah in a month when I go get my photo shoot done with Shivani. Had a great time with her. Guys, she's going to help. She's my social media manager. And guys out there, if you are trying to build a social media, if you are looking to expand your business, there is a link for Shivani Patel in the description. Please check her out. She's worth every penny. She's a narcissistic abuse survivor. And also, I'd like to say congratulations to Shivani. She went to court today fighting for custody of her kid against the Narc X. And if you guys are interested in that story, please check out my Narc Slang playlist on Daniel Alley. So congratulations to her, sister. Keep fighting and thriving. That's what we do here. We create survivors to thrivers to slayers. We do not kneel, and we do not take shit from anyone who lives like a locust, who lives like a symbiote, feeding off of other people, destroying them, trying to change your character, gaslight you, triangulate you, make you feel less than, who lives off of others' light. We teach y'all how to slay them out here. So welcome to Dragonstorm. What's up, Glenn? It's good to see you, sweetheart. I'm one of my clients. Good to see you, sweetie. Thank you so much for showing up. Another survivor out there fighting every day for her worth, of being a shining light to every person around her. Congratulations to you and all the work that you have put into your healing. My love to you, sister. What's up, Papa Cotton? Old Wookiee Spermacy out there. Good to see you, brother. Good to see you, fatty.
What's up?
Himself. The harem showing up.
Harem.
And thank God for the harem, because if it wasn't for the harem, we wouldn't be where we are today, Jills. Much love, sister.
Right.
Good to see you. Good to see you. Ashley's in the chat. What's up, Ash? Good to see you. Thank you very much. We're slaying them tonight, sweetheart. Looking forward to talking to you in the future. Parrot heads out there. Look, I don't.
Trees and pains. Yep.
I do not have sex with trees. I am not a Dunderphiliac. I don't understand, Parrot Head. And I don't put coffee in my ass. I am not into coffee animals. These lies have to stop. I don't understand. I'm not here slaying narcs, not doing deviant shit. Narcs do deviant shit. That's not me. I'm a good
have
guy.
A dedicated chapter in the book about.
No, we're not going to do that. Immortal Coil. No. Oh my God. So, no, again, thank you guys so much for being here. Please make sure to smash that like button and share out the link. Tonight we're going to talk about the spiritual warfare of narcissism, and I'm glad that Juliette's here with us, because that Alex and I, Immortal Coil and I, we do shows about spirituality very often, and so I would like to open up this discussion with just the idea: what is it like, or how do you recognize when you have encountered an energy vampire? Alex, will you lead us off on that?
Well, so first of all, if you're sensitive to energy at all, you'll feel them draining your field. Energy is a thing; it exists all around us, penetrates us, all that kind of stuff. The force is real, by the way, you guys. So right away, you'll feel them start to draw from your energy field. I don't know if you're going to go into psychic defense too much, but they present themselves as needy, and they will leave space to allow you to feed them if you decide to do so. Other than that, there's definitely a look in their eye. There's definitely a mode of thinking. You can almost hear their thoughts. You know, how am I going to change this to suit me? And it's all about them. You know, there's hardly any mention of anybody else. Thank you is not in their vocabulary. Accountability is not in their vocabulary. They're just parasites. I mean, you said symbiote, but parasite is far more accurate term. Yeah.
I mean, growing up in your family dynamic, which you don't have to go into any detail to, but you were around narcissistic personalities. So, like, how did you, as an adult, how do you grow into finding yourself when you have been around a family dynamic that has been constantly just draining your energy and putting you down?
Yeah, well, that happened to me as a teenager. First of all, you have to realize that you're different, and that the circumstances that birthed you aren't necessarily the ones that you stay with your entire life. I like to call them my training family. You know, there's a family you're born with and the family you find. And just most of the people that I found end up living thousands of miles away. Like I've never actually met Steven person to person, but we've had so many conversations, hours upon hours, and he's like a brother to me, you know? So just number one, realizing that you're different and that it's okay. You know, these people, their mindsets are how they reproduce. They can't like physically give birth to a narcissistic baby. They have to like invade your mental programming and interrupt it, and then get you to adopt theirs. And that's the sneaky thing about it, Stephen. It's all free will. You're free to choose to think that way, but you're also free to choose to think in a completely different and revolutionary way. So when I saw these people as examples of people that I would not like to be, I literally had to take my own evolution consciously and do it by myself, because none of those people were open-minded enough. And, you know, like you, Stephen, and I would suspect Juliette as well, all my life I've had metaphysical and paranormal things happening to me, and I had very few people I could talk to about it. So I had to physically get out and move away from my house. I had to go live on the opposite side of the country from where my other family was, and I found new community, and that's really what it's about. You got to find the place that you vibe, and you got to find your soul tribe, and that's what last year and this year is all about. Yeah.
Julia, how about you? Like, what is it, Juliette? What is it like to encounter an energy vampire? How do you do you deal with that?
For me, it shows in my patterns. If it's immediate, um, let me correct that. I live in a space of hypervigilance. I'm in an extreme way. I can feel intention shift. I've even smelled it. It smells like kind of sulfury, stale animal cracker, kind of, to be exact, actually. But so I can feel like things coming. I start to get anxious. I'm fidgeting. My internal systems are going off. I've gotten to the point in my life where I kind of know what that is. And I'm like, it's time to go. Like, when it comes to people draining me, how it is now, I can't say, because this version of me hasn't really encountered one. This version of me. Previously, it was already too late by the time I noticed, because I have a ridiculous amount of energy. I didn't really notice at first kind of the siphon here or there. The first clue for me body wise, kind of foggy minded. I would start to get kind of foggy minded, a little frantic. My ADHD, I call it my squirrel, was like, then my OCD, my compulsions would really come out. I was at a place where I couldn't leave the house unless my straightener was unplugged, cooled down in the middle of the floor with the cord wrapped up, and I would have to take a picture of it. And I would have to look
Wow.
at it, because I'm like, this house is going to burn down. And then the imagery would come with it, the intrusive thoughts, where something would happen to my animals. And then I was feeling it on a visceral level, traumatizing by things that haven't even happened yet, because there was that much abuse and chaos going on around me. After a certain amount of time being in a relationship with someone who drains me, if it's not a relationship, if I don't love them, that's my weak spot. It was my heart, like loving you, wanting.
Right.
I get irritated. I'm a little pissy. I'm kind of short. I'm like, zero tolerance. I just can't. I'm like, oh my God, you're draining the hell out of me. I can say I need space. In a romantic kind of scenario, that capacity was hard to find, really. And I would then just work harder as my energy would deplete, because I can regenerate faster, right? I got to the point where I was working 15 hours a day to keep up with demand, financially, spiritually, emotionally, in every way. Eventually my body started to shut down, truly. I had some very, very extreme health issues that I was within hours of not existing, shutting down to that level. So when they say trauma is stored in the body, my goodness, is that the truth for me?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Then I became kind of useless when I couldn't keep up,
And that's when they throw you away, when you're not useful. Yeah. Same thing with me. It was more of a financial abuse situation. I was drained of my finances to the point to where, when I didn't have any more to give, because I was too stressed out to make any money, and I was dealing with the same types of stress reactions, then she would disappear and go to somebody else, and then drain money off them. It's depending on the person, depends on how those stresses manifest. I've talked to several clients in the last few months, some of which have had surgery, have like literally had their things happen internally, especially in their gut area. Seems to happen to a lot of women that I talk to, have problems with their guts.
That's the solar plexus. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So I have Hashimoto's, autoimmune. That is a huge area. The body was attacking itself. it was trying, but it was throwing every possible red flag. It attacked my thyroid like it wasn't identified as a part of me. When I had stepped on the scale, I had started just gaining weight. I was sluggish. I couldn't think. My feet were swelling. My skin was dry. I would cry if I dropped an ice cube, and I mean like sob, cry.
Right.
Everything was haywire, and I had stepped on the scale, and it had showed an 8-pound difference from the day before. And I called.
Oh,
I
that's
was like,
not
water
healthy.
weight, right? I called the doctor, and he was like, come here right now. I did, and they did some blood work, and they sent me home. Called me the next morning. My TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone, the range that they look for is, at least it was then, 0.5 to 5. That's where we should kind of be. My lab results came back greater than 100. The test couldn't read it. I was within hours of going into mixed edema coma.
Wow.
I was on the highest dose of Synthroid for 3 months before the test could read, and I was in the 90s then. I mean, it's just, so throwing antibodies, my body was entirely shutting down. I
You
have
were
been
dying.
in, I was dying. I've been in remission, no antibodies for 3 years.
Wow.
Oddly enough, I have been safe for 3 years.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the reaction. Go ahead, Coil.
Well, they're parasites, number one. The thing that was striking me as you were speaking, Juliette, was a narcissist. And since we're talking about spiritual narcissism, I'll get a little metaphysical. It's almost like they rob your potential to manifest reality and somehow digest it. You know, where we take what we should be doing, the good in our life that we're doing, and we're devoting ourselves to these people who just do not deserve it. And it's funny because the other thing that you said that struck me too, and Stephen, you've talked about this in the past, is that innately the people on our side of the narcissistic abuse relationship, we have huge hearts. We just want to love and we want to give, and we love people the way that we do because that's just how we are. And to learn that other people either have different loving styles or no loving style at all is kind of a shock to us when we're realizing like, oh shit, I'm stuck in a bad spot.
We give the love we
So
need the most.
we do, and
Right.
we tend to be that center, like the heart of the Milky Way galaxy, just vibing it out. And we also tend to put other people before ourselves. And we will suffer and say like, oh, it's okay, I can take it. It's not a big deal. Maybe if I just love this person a little bit more, they'll fucking get it and then change. But no,
Hard lesson
I
to
mean,
learn.
it is. And it's a very painful one too. But when we start to reevaluate what we find attractive in other people, then we create space to invite healed personalities, and we're not
As you
necessarily.
heal, those
Mhm,
things they're not attractive anymore.
exactly. And until you heal, that's the kind of person that will show up in your life over and over again, either the same person or the same person wearing different skin. It's the same energy matrix, you know.
Mhm.
So good job healing from that. 3 years, that's quite a feat.
Thank you.
And yeah, I'm glad you're still alive because we're having a pretty good talk right now.
Well, I appreciate that. That wasn't the first close call. We can dig into
Yeah.
that later, though.
All right.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely, because I think it all applies to the same thing. The spiritual battle is I believe that due to our first off, we're I think a lot of us have issues, attachment issues, abandonment issues, codependency because of, at least for me and a lot of people I talk to, deep-seated childhood traumas that were
Right.
unresolved, narcissistic parent, or some type of toxic family dynamic, which makes us feel unloved, underappreciated, or having to fight for the attention of someone who abuses us. For me personally, I was taught that abuse was love. I didn't even know what love was really. So I was into toxic relationships. And that, I believe that dynamic, the negativity of that, the spiritual negativity, the darkness of it, is what comes back after us in our adulthood. The core of who we are when we grow up, what we manifest in and unto our reality, has to do greatly with how we are conditioned to see the matrix, our reality. And so having similar damages, narcissists have abandonment issues. For instance, those of us who have abandonment issues, we resonate this person in to facilitate what we have believed was love, or what we thought was the family or the love dynamic.
It's called pattern compulsion.
Pattern compulsion. Thank you very much.
And
And so I think that's very much has to do with, and energetically, why we bring these things into our lives until we can learn to overcome them. Before we move on, I wanted to couple of things in the chat. Ashley out there, she says, "Are you anxious attachment?" I think that was geared toward Juliette.
In a relationship, I kind of mirror out. I'm single now. I am secure, sure, but I am more on the avoidance side as self-preservation. I am quite rigid when it comes to what I will tolerate. But that's because that was a hard lesson to be learned. I can feel myself like, oh, I don't like how this dude types out. Like, I'm like, well, but then I have to be careful still, because the well has also gotten me. You'll attract all kinds of people when you are empathetic and neurospicy and kind and loving and compassionate. I thought my picker was broken, I thought my picker was broken. Why is this happening?
Right.
I came to realize my picker was not broken. I was trying to fit into a societal, this is what your body does when you're, this is a person. Like, first, I want to say, if someone feels like home and home wasn't a safe place, you better start reconsidering who you're up against. Secondly, it wasn't broken. I didn't have the thought all the way through. I thought my body was doing what everyone else's did. But my body is wired for survival. My picker is not broken. I thought it was saying, this is your person. My survival wiring was saying, this is the only fucking person to stay away from. It wasn't broken. It was just pointing to danger. And when you have long-term trauma like that, we should be reconsidering and start asking questions.
Yes.
Avoidant, sometimes when my boundaries are being pushed, I will shut, like, no. But if someone that claims to care about me or love me isn't behaving in that way, my body is throwing all of the anxious attachment flags, like, well, I just want to understand why. Why? And so I vacillate between styles.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You want to add something, Coil?
Well, just how do we say this? As you evolve, basically what you're doing is increasing your level of awareness and your ability to make observations, right? So, the vast majority of the population are living unconsciously. They're just reacting to things. They're reacting to their phone. They're reacting to the TV. They're reacting to other people. They're not really questioning in any sort of depth the nature of reality. When we break our patterns and when we start shifting in our relationships, we're actually doing so because we're spiritually evolving. Now, again, since we're talking spirituality, a lot of these things are like past life lessons, or your oversoul is setting up specific circumstances, because once you have broken the pattern and heal, you gain access to your gift that you can give to humanity uniquely as yourself, and then that's also why our families sort of react and reject us. We're typically the black sheep of our families,
Yeah.
because we needed, in a spiritual sense. Now, I'm not trying to say like this forgives abuse or, that you should take abuse. No. What I'm saying is that part of your life that you walked through was training ground. And now we're on the big stage. We're talking about healing and what it means to be an evolved person.
Transmuting
Our ability
pain into wisdom and strength.
Correct, man. You just my hair is standing up right now. You said
Poetic,
it
isn't
Yeah.
it?
correct. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's
You
an
know,
honor to be amongst healed people. Yeah.
I love you, brother. I love you so
I
much.
love
Ashley says, real men can tell each other they love each other, by the way.
That's right.
Ashley says, mine was more of him needing me emotionally and was afraid something was going to happen if I wasn't with him at all times. I'm a nurse.
Wow.
Yeah, so very needy, mommy issues, huh? Was he asking you to put anything up his? I mean, they live through fear, right? And so finding someone like you, a nurse, a caretaker, like you're naturally a healer. You give your energy, you
Right.
take care of others.
I'm also
And
a
so-
nurse.
Oh, are you?
Oh, are you?
One of mine, yes.
Interesting.
Since we're talking about spirituality and faith here, nurses, first of all, that's one of the hardest
yeah.
possible thing. Even schooling was, just insane.
Oh yeah.
Right? So you care, you nurture. Just the same as someone might attack someone's religion, that my body sent off alarms when I read that, afraid something was going to happen to him.
Yeah.
Well, he was, to me, I was like, no, he's afraid of not having control, and he's using the thing that you care most about to his advantage,
Right.
caring for others.
It's very devious.
Yep. I couldn't have said that any better or simply, to be honest. Thank you for saying that. That's where I was going with that. Yep. Thank you, Ashley. Appreciate you. Wonderful person out there on TikTok. Ash, I'm going to throw you a wrench if you want to share your TikTok out to everybody. Was with him at all times, literally 24/7. That's a hell of an attachment. Was he triangulating you? Was he a cheating type of narcissist, or like how controlling was he? To my mind, I'm interested to know, because most times in the narcissistic abuse cycle, when I hear about a narcissist who controls their partner like that, there is a discard phase. So did you go through that, or was it entirely controlling? Thank you, Ash. Let's see. Lacey's in the house. What's up, baby girl? She says, I had an ovary, appendix, and my gallbladder ruptured during my marriage with the narcissist I was with. I know it is caused by stress and trauma. Absolutely. Lacey was working very hard on the business at that time. Building, she's an entrepreneur. She was building something, and the narcissist came in at the last minute to invest into it, and then pushed her out. They literally abused her physically, and then put a PFA on her and pushed her out of her own business. And after she had worked so hard and basically had surgery because of the stress. So that's a hell of a survivor story out there. And my love to you, sweetheart. It does affect us physically, that not only the energetics affect everything about us. And so when you go through, like, okay, so going more to the energy side of it, when I was a caster, when I used to cast bad stuff, I don't like talking about all this all too much, but when I used to cast bad stuff when I was younger and angry and unhealed, I would go after weaknesses. You don't go after strengths. When you're an evil, when you're acting in evil, when you're acting in darkness, you don't go after somebody's strengths. You go after their weaknesses. When you're a fighter in the ring, if you know somebody has a bad knee, you go after the knee. You try and hit somebody in the throat, hit it in the nose. Like you always go after the weaknesses. Narcissists innately do that because of the energy dynamic that they pull into their lives. They are illusionists. They lie. They use. They're energy vampires. They don't create light. They take light. They're of darkness. This is why they draw in dark entities. Those dark entities give them certain gifts. like the evil eye. So they are, while draining you, will also feed off of and attack the things that are weak within you. It's a constant curse. That evil eye is a constant curse being thrown at you. So, and of course, if you want, we get into the more in depth, more into it. If you're having sex with a narcissist, they're scrambling your sacral chakra, they're scrambling your root, they're scrambling your emotional center, your reproductive organs, your what makes life, your life energy. And by doing that, that's why. And for at least what I see more so when I'm talking to female clients, that they have problems like Lacey's talking about. They have stomach issues. They have these issues, and a lot of that has to do, like, literally with the demon seed being put in you.
Right.
It's a part of the control mechanism that they use.
That's why I'm abstinent.
Yeah.
I am.
It's necessary.
Energy
sometimes.
exchange is real. My body is sacred.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Well point.
And I'm disciplined in that area. I need a partner who's going to be equally disciplined and show me that. Because if I, being who I am, this is my personal choice. If I allow access to my body, I'm allowing access to my connection to source. Okay.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And if I have not, like a 90-day, whatever erroneous number I want to put out, and I feel right in that situation, I will have been able to, hopefully, they're getting better, but practice discernment before I exchange body energy. And I typically, especially the way that I'm vibrating in this version of me, shake people out pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I can trust my gut.
Mm-hmm.
I have always been able to trust my intuition. The situation that I was in, every time those red flags would go off, I couldn't worry about that's not right, because I was surviving for my life. And so he would pick up on the fact that I was starting to get too clear on things.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would be fighting for my life, not worrying about that's not right. That's not adding up.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
I was with a sociopath, like we do the narcissist conversations, but I wanted to. This was a whole different beast for me. Insidious. Nuts. It was nuts. It was nuts.
For those out there who haven't dealt with a sociopath, could you explain the differences between a narcissist and a sociopath?
I don't say his name. I call him Fuckface. And anyone around me knows who it is.
Fuckface.
Truly. I just won't. Without going into too much depth for my safety, because he still breathes.
Mm-hmm.
Just like we take a breath, we innately know what to do. He was manipulating that way. And he was not very smart. It wasn't an intellectual forethought. It was like dropping a fish into a bowl of water and it's swimming. It was his wiring. And the lies, the manipulations and things were sometimes so outlandish you couldn't even question it, because what the fuck? That's not even real. To think about it, it's nuts. And even if you did start to, that would be weird. Well, what's the likelihood that someone would lie about that? No limits on taking. There was a sense of entitlement.
Right.
A sense of entitlement and resentment. In the beginning, it was just everything I needed, right? It was about a month after I was married. I told my mom, I said, Mama, I fucked up.
Wow.
I lasted 7 years after that. No limits as to steal from me. Like, I was going to build a house, buy the land, try to get the land at a higher tell me a higher price and then split it with them while I was building it. Like robbing me while I was giving. Robbing me while giving.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you, Juliette. Appreciate that. I know Immortal Coil has had some experience with a psychopath. You want to bring that up just for a moment, bud?
Well, so my best friend, I mean, Steven's my best friend, but the guy that physically is here, I grew up with him. She is a alcoholic, she is abusive, and yes, she's psychopathic. She went so far as to go to the law to trump up charges and blame my buddy for stuff that he never did. And when he lawyered up and got a plan and showed up in court with a suit and all that kind of stuff, she literally shit her pants because she thought he wasn't going to do anything about it. And he very nearly surrendered. But it was, you know, I'm going to toot my own horn here a little bit. I was like, nah, man, you can't let her do that. This isn't something she can get away with, and you got to fight it. But then she switched gears and she decided that she was going to withdraw her complaint. But the state that I live in is a very liberal state, so they will punish a man just for having a penis, basically. But she like,
Bad wiener.
yeah, she was physically abusive. She like threw grease on him at one point. She stabbed him in the shoulder with a knife at one point. Yeah, I had a bad year last year, and my buddy was like, "Hey, you can stay with me for, you know, until you get a job and get on your feet." And that only lasted 4 days because she could not stand anybody else paying attention to him. You know, he was hers. She totally, you know, peed on the carpet. And I left some of my stuff out there, and it's not just like clothes. I had like my birth certificate, my social security card, my tax records, all that stuff. She threw it out. She just threw it out because she was pissed off. And then when I addressed her about it, because I mean, I'm not in a relationship with her. I feel free to say what the fuck is on my mind. I was like, "What happened to my clothes, fuckface?" I like that word, so we'll use that. What happened to my shit, fuckface? And she was like, yeah, it got tossed. It got tossed out. And she said it just flippantly, like she had no compassion. I was like, "You threw away things of mine that I had for 40 years. You narcissistic bitch." You know,
They plant landmines.
they
They
do.
have the forethought for that to make things difficult. I used to paint. I woke up, neurospicy gifts. I woke up one day and I was like, I think I could paint.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could paint. They were selling before they were even drying. Little baby Bob Ross over here. It was nuts.
Nice.
But then I was starting to make money.
Mhm.
And he was like, you need to paint. And I
Uh,
shoved it down, right? I loved painting. I could be in the landscape that I was working on, right? It was an
right.
escape. And I
Pure
had to tuck it
creativity.
down. I still have I still haven't painted. It's been a few years because,
Mhm.
you know, in my healing, it was about a year ago, I got to the place where I was like, I think I could paint. I think I
Nice.
could paint. And I
Good.
had a new painting table still in the box. It was gone. I went down there to
Wow.
paint and it was gone. And not only that, my oils sliced, ruined, lids off, so that I could not, a year and a half later.
Wow.
That is so fucked.
Mm.
We actually have
Nice.
painters in the chat, so that goes, you know, that
We
touches. You know what's weird though, Juliette, is I really had to embrace this idea of detachment, because yeah, there were things that I had for a long time, but if I make a big stink out of it, then they get their supply. So I had to treat it like it's just a piece of paper. It's just another thing.
Mhm.
Which in some way is kind of healthy, I suppose, but it's a fucked up way to have to embrace that particular skill, you know. Um, So I'm sorry your shit got destroyed. That's terrible. Painting is pure creativity. Like you said, you can lose yourself in a canvas and just
Yeah.
make it whatever you want. You can say things with paint that you can't write down because it's one of the more direct ways to share a subjective experience with somebody else. You know, the arts are sacred. So
It would be
one day
nice to
you'll
want to
paint
paint
again.
again. I don't
Yeah,
know. I have to get new oils and the time. There's not enough hours in the day, but it's a feeling that comes not often where
right.
I almost need to do it. I've kind
It's
of moved over
inspiration.
to graphic art.
Yeah,
Um, I had shown you I'm working on a tarot deck and things because,
nice.
and I think that was my wiring's way of making sure that my oils couldn't get taken or hurt or, rendered useless. So I do digital art now.
Hmm.
It's been the thoughts surfaced again and again. Book
Yeah,
first, the book
Yeah.
first,
sure,
and
sure,
then the music, and then
sure.
the painting.
Yes, one
What?
thing at a time, and reclaim that. It's important that we don't allow the things that we love to be spoiled by the experiences that we had.
Right.
I'm
Source.
struggling with I'm
Oh,
struggling with that right now. I have actually have a tarot channel, and I'm going to get working on it at some point. It's already been set up. I just haven't gotten to it because I did tarot with my Narcissist ex. And I wanted to get back to the chat just for a moment. I'm sorry to pause the conversation. I wanted to mention that Sarah is recovering from sociopathic abuse herself. One of my first clients. Love you, Sarah. Good to see you. Thank you for being in the chat. And then let's see. Okay, Ashley was answering. Yes, he had many semantic complaints. Got you. I understand. So you were throwing something up as, I'm sorry, honey. I'm sorry you got he wasn't a cheater.
There's a
That's
pattern,
good.
Steven. You really hit on something,
I
buddy.
understand. Molly McCool says, I can relate to that. I was with him 24/7 because I wanted to be able to gauge his mood, so I was never surprised.
That's my best friend.
Oh, okay. Hey, Molly, good to see you. Thank you so much for being
This
here.
woman has blown my hair back lately in
She's
her own
gorgeous.
journey.
Look at her.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
glad. I'm glad.
Mine wanted time away. This scenario for her was just different. It was where are you going? What are you doing? Molly, I'm proud of you. I told you earlier, but I'm telling you again.
Thank you, man. Survivors, thrivers, and slayers in the chat. Hail, thank you. Welcome to the Dragonstorm community. Thank you for all your support. Thank you for being there for your sister. And I'm glad that you have this positive support system because that's always taken from us. It's one of the first things to go is our positive support system. Lili in the chat. What's up, Alicia? Survivor and thriver out there. My ex believes he's famous via social media and always wanted me there to decompress. Said he felt safe with me there. Then he would verbally attack me.
Safe to abuse you.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. God, Lili. Currently, we're slaying Lili's narc over on Dragonstorm Instagram, guys. If you would like to go over there, we are exposing Jamie Pagelli, the Philly sports guy. He has a history of abusing women. The evidence and proof is there on Dragonstorm Instagram. So if you're in the Philadelphia area or if you're engaged in any type of the activities of the NFL, let's make sure that this dude who abuses women, who ties them up, who hits them, who lies about them, who tries to use his social media leverage in order to intimidate women, is not around kids taking pictures and going to high schools and talking about bullying. This is what we do on Dragonstorm. We find a real special piece of trash and we come at them in public. We expose narcs. They hate being exposed. Let's make sure that people like that are not having access or the leverage, ability, or popularity, money, funds to use that in order to abuse women, men, children. So please go to Dragonstorm Instagram and check out the post there on Jamie Pagelli, the Philly sports guy. Appreciate you, Lili. Thank you for being here. Glennis says, yes, I wish I never had sex with the narc, and God knows how many women he was with then too. All right. So yeah, I wanted to actually circle back to the sex conversation because something that Juliette brought up is very important. She is abstinent now because sacred energies are very important. When I was with, I'll lead off if you guys don't mind. When I was with the Narc X, she would use her sexuality to triangulate men to get money, drugs, funds, the leverage off of all these people. The Immortal Coil can testify to this because he's been around for the entire journey. When I began sleeping with her and exchanging energies with her, I also exchanged energies with all of the drug dealers, bikers, the deviants that she was sleeping with. My attitude changed entirely. And so, that was something my friends noticed. Alex was like, Steve, you're changing, and I don't understand why. And it was because I was exchanging energy with a woman who had a web of different men, who toxic men, and they were all exchanging energies with one another. So, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Juliette. You wanted to speak on that?
That's when I tell. I'm abstinent, not deceased. I'm starved. I'm starved, right? I practice discipline in that area on purpose. I vet them. I put that buffer time in between. But it's one of the first things I say. First of all, that's a great way to weed people out. I'm not hooking up with you. Great. Then there's another layer that I have to weed through of the ones who think that they can convince me otherwise. My gut has been so loud in those scenarios in dating. I'm like, no, no. At first I thought I was being, excuse me, I thought I was being judgmental maybe. No, my body is saying that's going to go poorly, and I no longer have to stick around to find out how. And when I tell them, I say I'm abstinent, not because there is no need there. At this point in our lives, we're not virgins, but I am certainly not a saint, but I keep myself starved on purpose, because when I meet my person, and they will appreciate this, and this is exactly how I say it, my body will be pure of anyone's energy except mine. And so I practice discipline there as a gift to them.
That's awesome.
Yes. And that is a gift. It's purity.
I mean, as men, I'm going to ask, as men, coming across a woman who is absolutely starved, has a line of suitors out the door, but they are not her person, right? They're not setting her soul on fire. And the fact that she has remained completely abstinent as a gift to you because she thinks that you're her person, how would that feel?
That raises your value. That's a high value. Thank you, Alex. That's a high value woman. Absolutely. Who values herself and her time, her energy, and that is a gift to a man. And as a man, in a healthy way, as I've said this several times to a couple clients, men look to conquer. And a real man understands that a woman only gives herself over, only allows herself to be taken by a high value man. And so it does. It increases the worth of the interaction entirely. Go ahead, Alex.
Well, yeah. So to take it to the metaphysical level here, if you come across a conscious person, he realizes that the female is the physical embodiment of the goddess, and that her energy is sacred. Her insides are sacred. Years ago, Steve and I have talked about this, like in Babylonian, Assyrian times, there were actually divine prostitutes, and we don't really have a good word for it. They called them Kadishtus back in the day, and they weren't
priestesses of Ishtar.
Exactly. They weren't having sex to illicitly have sex, and it wasn't like horny guys like in our society will pay a woman to go have sex. It wasn't like that. You entered into a divine priestess to commune with the goddess, and it wasn't about like using her to masturbate and then you have a big orgasm. No, it was
and those men
and
those men had to be special, right? They had to be spiritual. We're not talking about toxic.
Exactly. Now I'm not saying that when you find your person it has to be like a holy experience every single time. You can still get horny and fuck, but you're sacred, and not everybody deserves you. I had to tell myself that. I was actually I didn't have sex for about 2 years, and the person that I'm having sex with now, we do it consciously. You know, I mean, like I'm saying, we still get horny and fuck, but we're aware of energetics and we're aware of the consequences of mixing your energy with somebody else because you take on
Right.
some of their characteristics. And
Mhm.
with me and this person, we're actually like our mental telepathy has increased like 10 times. There are thoughts that I
No
have
doubt.
that I think they're mine, but they're actually hers. And if I think something, she will say it out loud. I'm just like,
Dude, I'm
holy shit.
same
Yeah.
thing. Like when I was when I began sleeping with mine,
Mhm.
she's so spiritual and pure of heart that instant exchange
Yeah.
of good intentions, energies. It was like I never known what love was. I never knew what real love making was when you're being
Mhm.
with somebody who's, right, when you're with somebody who's pure. Go ahead, Udge.
I learned what love was through what it was not. Through what it
Right.
was not. I
Yes.
learned, and my map to freedom was through betrayal. So my lens is skewed. Even now, I would consider myself to be secure, but I am still hyper vigilant and scanning. And
Oh, yeah.
there's this piece that I put in here because women, I don't know how it is for men, but for women, your body will tell you when you are not a match for someone. Don't trump those signals, right? Like we're not even talking pH yet. We're not even talking that. There's a smell like right here in the chest of a man. You can smell
Mhm.
it, and it's like feral, right? They're
Right.
physically compatible. Like there's going to be some compatible, but if you're like, oh my god, your bo stinks, right? They're not a match for you. Your body is telling you those things, and we were never taught. Like I've been around where I'm like, right? You just smell good. I don't care if you're
Mhm.
sweating. Like more, please. Physical match. Your body's telling you those things, but if you're like,
Right.
oh, pay attention to those signs. Like, and also pay attention to your body if you are having sex with these people, because are you sure you know them? Does your soul feel safe?
Right.
Because it's not safe. Like it's just not safe. Um, you just have to be careful. That's I just want to like urge that, because they could tell you all fucking day long that
Mhm.
you are the only one in the world. Their world is fucked.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
In dating, are you single? I'll ask, what does single mean to you? Is there anyone else that thinks that they're in a relationship with you?
Right.
Because
Right.
the directness isn't there. A partial truth is not the truth. It's still a whole lie.
Mhm.
Yes.
So cluster biatches do that. They hone in. Yes, I was outside. Outside of what? Right? They will specifically go in and only use a part of the truth. Never be forthcoming. And you're like, here's your cue, man. Tell me something. They will omit, but a partial truth is still a whole lie, and it makes you one giant piece of shit to use that, because
Yeah.
it's no longer a truth. It is a performance.
Mhm.
No one's clapping for you. Like, great, great that you are such a wordsmith.
Well, that's
Can't
the
feel
thing is
good.
they use our insecurities against us. So they'll say things like you're being uncaring, or you're being manipulative, or you're being egotistical. And
Projection,
especially
projection, projection.
yeah,
Yeah.
when it comes to our sexuality, that's like the most sacred physical part of us that we can share with somebody
Yes.
else. And
Absolutely.
if somebody, I mean, truthfully, Stephen, the situation that you describe, it sounds like sexual abuse to me. She was running around, fucking, hopping on whatever cock was convenient, and then bringing that shit home to you. And then
It's
it was,
rapey.
It's
it is, it is. I mean, you can be married to somebody and still not give consent, but if they don't care and fucking take it anyway, that's disrespectful to you. I mean,
Of course.
you're a divine being connected to source, and when you physically merge with another being, you're sharing that with them, and
They take
yes.
away.
yes, there's energetic consequences to all that kind of stuff. So I mean, like, being a slut's not good just because it's like not healthy. It's not good because you're mixing your energies with people you don't fucking know and you haven't fucking vetted.
But if you're going to be someone who has more than one partner, you have to make sure they're the right people.
Exactly.
Because all right, we used to have those STD commercials when we were growing up. You're sleeping with everybody they've slept with. Okay,
Yep.
Energetically, within about a 6-week, 2-month range, that is absolutely true.
Yep.
And so when you are sleeping within a group, let's like polygamous people, you got to make sure that all those people are healthy, all of them. Because one negative vibration can bring down the whole crew, can bring the whole coven. I mean, I think of it in coven dynamics, will bring down the circle. If you're having 2 lovers or 3 lovers, make sure they're healthy. Practice healthily and make sure that they're healthy mentally, emotionally, physically.
Spiritually healthy.
Spiritually, absolutely healthy. Because I'm going into spiritual STDs with this. Because not only are you looking at the physical dangers of sleeping with someone who is arrogant, arrogantly reckless with their bodies, but the spiritual STDs that you can get. Sleeping with a person who lives in constant negativity, delusion, illusion, false grandeur, lies, manipulation, employing dark psychology. These things attract dark entities, dark forces into them. They are using illusion magic. They are trying to confabulate you. They are trying to scramble your mind. If they're having sex with you, they're trying to screw up your root chakra. When you sleep with that, that's a linking of energies. You are, as Mortal Coil just said, joining with that person.
Yes.
You're going to get spiritual STDs that are going to destroy your rhythm, invade your rhythm. It's going to ride your kundalini. It's going to infest you just as much as like getting gonorrhea would. It's a very real thing. And once you have that hook in you, that spiritual hook in you, that energy vampire can suck your energy out a hell of a lot faster. They can. I was having a talk with a survivor who her narc didn't want to have vaginal sex. It was always head. She was a very intelligent woman, built him a business, off of her intellect, her acumen, her ability. And she was like, why is that? And I said, well, that's because he's taking your throat, your eye, and your crown.
Yep.
That's the end. That's where he's putting his seed. That's what he is trying to take from you.
Yep.
And it worked. And it worked for so long. And now that she's not sleeping with him and it's months later, he's losing his mind. It's because he's not able to take those energies from you. Those were the energies he wanted. Meanwhile, he's grooming, virgins in other states to move in. But that's a whole other story.
That's a different show.
I had a body reaction to that.
Yeah. Well, it's the truth. They can't
Visceral
synthesize.
energy.
Yeah, they can't synthesize these energies themselves because they've cut themselves off from source.
Exactly.
So they take it from their partner. And if the partner's unconscious about it, they'll just give and give and give. Because like you're saying, we naturally know how to renew that. We get from source. So we can replenish ourselves, but they can't.
It's in me, not on me.
Right. But I mean, getting energy from source is a lot different than siphoning it from somebody else. And, being on the other side of that is somebody who has given energy to somebody who didn't fucking deserve it versus creating my own energies and then sharing it with somebody who actually fucking deserves it. That's why I like what you said, Juliette, about the vetting process. That's very, very important. And it is important for women, but I honestly don't see a lot of men being as discriminative as they should be. So when I would go around and tell people I haven't had sex with a human woman in 2 years, they'd be like, what the fuck, dude? What do you do? Like it's abnormal or something. I was like, I don't want just any bitch not any bitch deserves this, and
There
you
is no
kind of have to.
judgment though for
Right.
hooking up, but please just be safe.
Right.
Just guard yourself because they're getting better at hiding.
Yeah. Well, and
there's
God
a lot
forbid.
of men bitches. I'm going to tell you right now.
Oh, there are. Absolutely, there is. But I mean, God's forbid, what if you end up creating life with one of those and then you're stuck with this person for.
It creates a blood tie.
Exactly.
And once you have that blood tie, it gets even more compound because
yes.
I'm sorry. Yes. Yeah, thank you. Because I'm in my realm right now. So when you exchange those energies, this is why guys, when you try and break the trombone, this is why when you're thinking about them or you're talking to somebody else, they text you out of nowhere. It's the same reason why it seems like they can sense where you're going or what you're doing, and you think like, is my phone hacked? I don't understand what's going on. How do you know? Because they have a direct link in to you. All right. Yeah. And it operates differently due to the dynamics of the exchange of sacred energy between male and female, but it's basically the same in how it affects you. And the evil eye that they have, first off, they're manic. We're just going to go into this for a second. We'll get into it a little bit more later. But the evil eye is mania. They're constantly thinking about you, hating on you, wondering what you're doing, trying to figure out how to screw you over, trying to figure out how to set you up for a trap, figuring out what they can use, what you've said, what you've done in order to twist it during their smear campaigns, during devaluation. Like all of the work that goes into being the hoovering hobgoblin is a lot of work. It takes a lot of work to be a leech, that type of leech. So that's all being generated. They create a box of you in their mind. We're going to get into psychic defense and an attack a little bit later, but they create a box view in their mind. And when they do that, it is in order to run a certain script, apply that to the narcissistic shell, and then attack you. That is constantly, when you have sex, when they scramble your root, your sacral, your reproductive energies, when they hook you in like that, they're pulling the rug out from underneath of you. Your ability to ground, your ability to use manifestation and creative energies. It's also your emotional center for you ladies, most especially, because where does the sauce go? You know what I mean? It goes up in. So by doing that, they take away your ability to be emotionally grounded. For women, you think emotionally, that's going to even screw up more of your mental acuity. But pulling out the rug from underneath of you makes you nuts for both men and women. When they're shooting that evil eye at you, they're attacking you from above and below, as above, so below, in every direction. And that is why the spiritual STD aspect component of this is so important to bring up. And real quick before Coil, or right before Coil, I know you want to jump back on that. Yeah. What's up, Shivani, out there slaying them in court today? Hail, sister. There be rogues here. Yeah, good to see you, honey. Thank you so much for being here. Yeah. Absolutely, guys. If you are looking to grow your business, if you are looking to work out on social media, if you're looking for someone who can help you grow in that way, please check out Shivani Patel. She is amazing social media guru. Please check her out. Thank you so much for being here, sweetheart.
We like to ask this question on this channel, Shivani. What is it like to hug author Stephen Walton, Lodonis Dragonstorm? I didn't get a chance to do that yet. What's it like to hug him?
You can't ask a woman that. All right, that is only a very special question between men. That is only a man question we ask.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Right?
I broke the man protocol.
No, you don't ask that.
Steven's going to kick me backstage now. No, but back to what we were talking about. What you were saying just now, Stephen, about the effect that the seed has on the female physiology. It actually reminded me of that story of Osiris and Seth. Because that was a component of that story. What do you think about that? Because that just hopped in my head right when you were talking.
I'm sorry, I missed all that. I was writing in the private chat. I'm sorry. I was hoping.
I'm asking you about Egyptian mythology, motherfucker. Okay. No, so you were talking about the effect that seed had on the female physiology, and the thing that I thought about was that story of Osiris and Set, about how the seed was a component of that story. So thoughts, feelings, what do you think?
I mean, well, it's okay. So, I mean, the energetics and basically goes like this. We've talked about this a few times. Women have multiple orgasms because you're building a man up to shoot, right? Your woman is the female is giving the energy, right? The female is the lay of the land. She is the earth. She's giving energy to the man, so that he can return it with his and create life. All right. So in the exchange with a narcissist, for a woman, you're giving over all your power. You're giving over your mind, your heart, your spirit, your talent. You're giving over your caring, everything that you're doing, and whether it's
and your body is working against you while you're doing it. You're producing oxytocin, and men Vasopressin is what gets the love hormone going. Vasopressin for men, and that's something from a hero, right? They want to, when they start saving you and you have moments, you cannot get the same connection with a man until he has proven that he can do something for you. He has to come in and save you. You've gone through something hard together. That takes time for those moments to come up. It's not through sex like it is verse the other way. The love hormone, we are producing it because we're sharing source. Literally,
Yeah.
men don't feel it the same way. It's vasopressin. That's the hormone that's released for them. That's their love hormone for us. So if you want to
Thank
save
you,
me,
Juliette.
save it. Come on, come save me. But prove it.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, it's
Well-
for male physiology, it's a very strong urge, and it takes a lot of discipline to overcome that. Find
Very
anything
likely.
that's wet and furry and stick it in.
Mm.
It's a supreme amount of discipline, and really, when we speak about it in these terms, it becomes apparent. There's so much at stake when you share yourself with somebody. So why would you share yourself with just anybody? They have to demonstrate their worthiness to you. And I'm not saying like convince you, but they have to add to your process in some way. If they don't, then it's just masturbating with somebody else's body.
You have to get to the place where you can truly trust that. For just a hypothetical example, I am out in the dating world, not a lot out there in the dating world. I'm just, I've allowed some access where I wanted to peek out and look at the landscape and know what I was kind of dealing with.
Sure.
So, but then I opened the door this way and I've been inundated with messages. And so I've had to turn it off and think, but people will tell you whatever they think you want to hear. They will become, and that's on a spectrum, sure. But I mean, we show up with our best representatives when we're meeting someone and dating them.
Mm-hmm.
And so many times, whether it's narcissism or not, we all have narcissistic tendencies on that spectrum. After about 3 months, that best representative you can't maintain. And then here we go. You've spent 3 months attaching to someone and they cannot maintain who you thought they were. Now you've got an idealized, disillusioned version that you were someone you're falling in love with.
Mm-hmm.
And they can't maintain it. It's not. So the good news is I'm exactly who I say I am. Bad news is I'm exactly who I say I am. And I will keep it honest throughout the entirety. I have many facets, as many possibilities as a Rubik's Cube. We can be surprised together which version of me you get, but it will always be me, and I will tell you, because for a lot of women, I haven't come across many men survivors, a lot of women where it gets hard. It gets really hard where you just, what do I do now?
Mm-hmm.
What do I do now? It's a sunken cost trap. Well, maybe they can turn it around because we've already put so much of ourselves into it. Women want a return on investment. Well, sometimes no one wanted to pack it up. It would have probably saved me years had I had the tools to do that.
Well, you did.
So you did.
Yeah. Well, yeah. There's nuances to that.
Yeah.
Well, so
I
I
understand.
have a question
Sure.
for you, Juliette.
Sure.
How, in the face of abuse, how do you maintain your femininity? Because isn't there a temptation to kind of get like hard and defensive? Like how do you stay
If I'm
feminine?
the biggest dick in the room, you are not for me.
Yeah, yo.
That is the right answer.
that is the right fucking answer, yo.
I have friends we've made jokes about it. Like energetically, I
Yeah.
have big dick energy. I am big dick and I'm a tripod. Whack. But if
There you go.
I have to pull mine out, yours is not enough.
No
Exactly.
shit.
Because you have to make me feel safe and good and that I can be feminine because I will consume you otherwise. I'm going to hurt your feelings. I don't want to go back to dating women.
Right.
Ladies and gentlemen, the newest rogue. Like it's damn.
Get used to it, you
Beautiful.
guys. I like
And
this
that's
one.
and that's the truth
It
of it.
didn't work out
It's
because we both wanted princess treatment. Like, stop.
uh-huh.
Femininity, I love it. I love it. Whew.
Yeah.
How do you be the man? No, no, women, you guys. Oh, okay. Well, we'll touch on that first. Yes, because they're bitches. I'm telling you. Look, male narcs have a little toxic woman living inside of them.
Right. Yes.
It's
yes.
all. It's dark. It's the
They're
toxic woman
intercurrent.
energy.
And there's only room for one queen in a relationship.
Exactly.
Dig
No
it.
matter. There
Well,
is
that's
only
the
one.
old saying. You know, women they say, "I already have a pussy. I don't need another one."
Right. And another thing, Juliette brought up, like you said, you haven't talked to many men in this community. We're out here. You know, it is a
I
lot
wanted
harder
to correct
for us.
myself. They don't know that they're survivors. The men that I have encountered that have been abused, they don't know that they have survived. They don't even know that they've been abused. So
Right.
survivors in the sense that you have stepped into, that's what happened to me. I encounter abuse in every form all the time because there's conditioning, you don't know. But a lot of men, there's a stigma around emoting, right? They're not
Yes.
even in touch with because you weren't allowed anyway.
Yeah.
I wrote a poem about it. What about the boys? It's what about the boys who now become men and they were handed the problems that their fathers were handed, right?
Mhm.
But this is a problem for all of us, women. Because what about the boys who then become men, who become husbands, who have
Mhm.
children, and this cycle?
Mhm.
So the abuse part is just the survivor. I haven't met many men
Mhm.
who are aware. I can
Mhm.
see it clear as day. My pattern recognition is ping, ping, ping.
Yeah.
But to know that they've been harmed in such a way that it's changed their wiring, their life trajectory, their attachments, their lack
Yes.
of, they
Yeah.
don't know. So
It took me into my 40s to figure that out. And you're absolutely right. It has to do with the stigma and upbringing and also the conditioning that we went through. Narcissistic father in my case. And it wasn't until I was driven down hard by another narcissistic personality. I had been in a string of toxic relationships that I had to rebuild myself from the ground up and really look at myself, figure out
Yeah.
how am I looking at things? How am I making things toxic? How am I being toxic? And that it took years of therapy and coaching for me to rewire my brain and get to the point where I'm at. So thank you for bringing that up. That's so very true. And I tell that to the men that I speak to,
Yeah.
because we look to women to be our emotional outlets, to be that
Yes.
safety net. And if we don't know
Definitely.
how to attract in the proper type of woman, then we are continually reinforcing the negative conditioning that we.
in that vicious
Yeah.
cycle, in order for us to be nurturing
Yes.
and for me to put my energetic dick away, you have to have the capacity for me to ease into the connection and feel safe. If I don't feel
Yes.
safe, no one's
Right.
getting nothing
Right.
Mhm.
except me. I'm getting probably energetically robbed and
Right.
holding a hand that doesn't. Sometimes you get in the way of me. I'll speak for myself. Want to help people, help them understand previously. But sometimes you're getting in the way of their own learning experience. And so I honed that skill differently to where I started thought leading. Because men, you can tell them all day long, but if they think they came to it on their own, they're onto something. And so it's all humans truly, start asking questions where they, right, thought leading these questions. Okay, but why?
Mhm.
Okay, but why? Well, because my dad said it. Okay, who told him?
Right.
Uh-huh. Okay. Well, what were they feeling? What were they going through when they told him? Uh-huh. Right. So you're willing to stand on this hill until the end of forever for your great grandpa's shitty day? Like it did. That trickles
Yeah.
down. It's generational.
Yes. Generational. Yeah, Lili just put it in the chat. Generational trauma.
Yep.
Very
I
true.
was thinking that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're all pulling on
Um,
the same idea.
Yeah. Real quick, I just want to say Tina's in the chat. What's up, Tina? Thank you so much for being here, sweetie. She goes, the reality is disturbing. Yes,
It's
indeed.
fucked.
Thank you.
It's fucked.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Appreciate you being here, guys. Please smash the like, share out the link. Shivani said hugging Steven is a healing experience, and you're next, Clay.
There we go.
So,
Thank you, sweetie. Thank you for backing me.
Ashley says, I've learned from being with Narc is they mirror us and we basically fall in love with ourselves.
Yeah.
Isn't that the truth?
Yeah. We love people like we want to be loved. And being able to express that love, sometimes we think that we are being loved back, but we are actually the source of love because we're giving it from source. So it's interesting stuff. And just real fast while I have the thought in my head still, if men don't feel safe to have an emotional outlet, that can really manifest in very terrible ways because men do have the capacity to become violent.
Yes.
You know, so we do need a safe space to let that stuff out. And if we feel like we're going to be judged, or then what we end up learning is I'm not safe to talk to this person about this stuff, so I'm just going to shove it down, and then you have a bad day, and then shit gets broken or worse.
Yes.
So good points.
Please.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Juliette.
Safe, right? So I don't remember the name of the man who said it, but I found the world to be woefully lacking in safe places, so I became one, right? My love language, the woman that I am, is creating a safe space for my man, my person, so much so that he can take his armor off at night. That's what we're going for. That's what we're building.
Yes.
Because I'm strong enough in my own right. I've got my own battle gear that when the hits are coming, I'm just getting a little dent here and there because he needs to breathe and rest so that we can work as a team the next day. Like, the safety goes both ways, and that's an important thing to me too. But not you, but you in general, men, like, I will not pull it out of you. It is not going to be pulling teeth. I am no longer going to waste hours of my life deciphering and decoding. Sometimes just saying, I don't know what to say. I'm trying and it's not coming out. I'm not as good at it as you are. Hey, anything. This is awkward. I feel weird. Women can accept anything. 0, nothing, silence. This is what we get then, because we're not mind readers. And we don't expect you to be poets either. But there has to be communication. They're like, you can't pull it out. Try. You know, it's scary, but try.
Yeah.
You know what is so odd and really compounds like the idea that I have that narcissist men are little toxic women is what you just said is exactly what in male circles we say, like we talk about with women. We're not mind readers. We just tell us, like, why am I trying to figure this out? The energy is reversed in these dudes.
Right.
The energy is complete. It's complete. It's the opposite polarities. It's from my spiritual aspect, it's like the demon spirit scrambles your sexual energies. It confuses it. It can, so I am of the mind, at least until I see different, that narcissist women are toxic men. When I was around Narc X, you'd be the first one to talk bad about women. This bitch can't drive. Get off the road, bitch. Why you can't listen. You can't. She was horrible to other women, like the most misogynist things you could possibly hear. And narcissistic men, I hear this time and time again. You ladies, what Juliette just said, why is my dick bigger than yours?
Right. You're acting like a
Why
bitch.
do I have to be the man?
Well, now
Silky
we're
Denim.
it's heavy. Come on.
Yes. Silky Denim's in the chat. She goes, I literally feel like he would always try to out-bitch me all the time. Yeah, look, we're supposed to be the logical, reasonable, hard shell stoic ones. And then we look to women for that emotional safe space for us to be able to emote, to talk to, because the world attacks us all the time, and when you scramble that, when you reverse that, you get bitch made dudes who start fights, catty, talk shit, always looking for a fight, emotional manipulation, for God's sakes, which is the lowest form of manipulation, in my opinion. And it's like, it is something that I have discovered as I have done this content and spoke to more and more survivors. That has also, and I have to say this, helped me look at myself when I was healing to my unhealed state and see how I was raised, and that in some of those ways, that's how I would act when I was not getting what I wanted. So I mean, it's been a full-bodied experience for me, and I'm very appreciative
Protest
for it.
behavior.
Yes, thank you. Yes, protest behavior. Well said. Peter's out here. He says, I used to work for a male narcissist in a toxic workplace. And at the time, I didn't even realize what was happening to the narcissist while I was being abused. In that environment, in a workplace environment, Peter, if you're dealing with a narcissist, it's. Did you have something you wanted to say?
No, I'm
Sorry,
confused.
Juliette. Oh, well, he said he used to work for a male narcissist in a toxic workplace. And at the time, he didn't even realize what was happening to the narcissist while I was being abused. So a narcissist in a position of power or control, whether it's work, friend, family, they are going to use that authority over you. They are going to shift any responsibilities or like any stress they have from those responsibilities onto you. Working for a narcissist is not fun. I've been around narcissists my entire life. I didn't realize that until I healed and understood my family dynamic and what had happened and who they were. And now I have like these, I have like narc spidey sense. I see it. I can see a conversation between, see, I got screenshots of a conversation. My girlfriend sent me screenshots of a conversation. I'm looking at him like, that dude's a narc. And she's like, really? Yeah, it's all right. There's emotional manipulation. There's, I want to sleep with you. There's, I'm doing this for you. So you should be my bitch. Like it all means. Worded differently. Yeah, that's what that means, and she's like, I'm helping her. She's healing from a relationship with a marriage with a narcissist, and then another narcissist right after, because we don't learn sometimes right away. But it's always about getting something that they want, and if they have power, like a family dynamic or a job, they it's any stresses that they can pass on, any way that they can. If someone above them is treating them poorly, or they feel that they're being treated poorly. Remember, we're talking about insecure people with abandonment issues who live in Delululand. If they feel like someone's talking about them and they're not, if their fragile ego is slighted in the least, they're going to pass that aggravation on to you because it's your fault. It's whatever fault of direction they need to fall in. Right. So it's hell being in a workplace with a narcissist, Peter. I'm sorry that you went through that. Tina says, when a liar is lying and then they deserve themselves, that's a big red flag. Stay away from those people.
Confabulation. They believe it. Confabulation is when they believe it.
And they really do.
They become it. That was.
And it's okay. The theories of manifestation. You believe something and you make it manifest. Liars, illusionists, manipulators, they do that too. They manifest as well. But it's already yours. Believe it's already yours. The difference between an illusionist and someone who is manifesting, all right, which both can create results, is that illusionists build on a house of cards. Because it's not real. It's not true. It's not built on strength. Willpower, true belief, true, those manifestations are what matter. And that's
they only believe that they're entitled to it.
Yes. There's no gratitude, no appreciation, and that's the secret. Yes. Guys, wake up every day. Exactly. Christy's here. She says it's snowing in Florida. Sorry I had to say that. Christy, I lived in Florida for 3 years and did not see snow once. What is going on in Florida?
It is disrespectful outside.
Right. I blame Florida, man.
Sparky said it's 3 degrees.
Like, fuck this.
Yes. I love that.
Peter says, do you think narcissism will constantly live on for many years ahead? Well, in my opinion, yes. It's always been around. First off, it's always been a condition. It's a result of trauma. It's a result of it's a result of unchecked selfishness, really.
Yeah.
So being in my opinion, in the world that has been crafted around us, where disrespecting elders, the last generation, disrespecting wisdom, believing that selfish impulse and emotional, your fifis are paramount. I mean, we've seen it in social media for the last 15 years. Your fifis is what matter. All right. Not facts, not reason. Okay. I know we all have fifis. And listen, if your fifis say that you're an attack helicopter, oh my God, change your pronouns. we have been sold. We the wealthy elite, the people in Hollywood, these actors that were all Delulu living, have no idea what it's like to struggle with the market, have no idea what it's like to go paycheck to paycheck, telling you about your virtues, and that if you don't believe them, you're a racist bigot, while they're saying things that are racist and sexist and bigoted. We have had unchecked mental health crisis all around us and this has been an intentional attack by the wealthy elite in order to destabilize civilization and keep us fighting amongst one another, so that we don't actually rise up and fight the people that are creating the problems. And those people are the ones who pull the purse strings in politics. So we are fighting an entire milieu of mental illness that has caused the rise of narcissism in our society over the last 30 years, most especially after the advent of social media. It's very easy to go on any platform and find a hive mind, an echo chamber of negative fifis and toxic people who will tell you that your hatred is justified because it doesn't matter what the facts are. That person's a horrible person. Until enough of us stand up and point out reality and hold people accountable for their reckless behavior, we are going to continue to have this issue in society. Speech done, soapbox taken off. All right.
Well, that's why I don't agree with the let them theory. Don't let them. Say the thing. You might get blocked. You might get left behind, but at least you said your piece because you let them.
Mm-hmm.
What you tolerate, you encourage, and that only escalates.
Right.
Yes.
It only escalates.
Yes. I would look at, I don't want to get too political, but look what's going on in the UK. You can get arrested if you offend someone's fifis on the internet.
Oh boy.
No, free speech is so important. Go ahead, Coil. I know you're itching.
Oh, well, so, and this kind of hits home because the person that I'm with right now, her family, she has British family. So we were talking about a news article where somebody was arrested in the UK for inciting a riot when all they did was post something online. And it's the same kind of flippant thing, like you would say, like, King Charles is a tyrant, somebody should fucking shoot him. And if somebody went and tried to shoot King Charles, then you could be thrown in jail. And he got 7 years.
Wow.
Meanwhile, child abusers and pedos and grapists, they only get like 6 months because, well, how fucked up the system is over there. But she was trying to explain to her family why it was wrong to put somebody in jail. And the family's totally like hook, line, and sinker. Well, no, that person was inciting a riot. No, the person just made a post. Other people made a conscious choice with their own free fucking will. And if they went out and started a riot, arrest them.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why, number one, that's why we all got on a fucking boat and left that country. But number two, the First Amendment, the very first one, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom to assemble, freedom to petition the government. All of those are very important things for a healthy society. And the moment that you start curtailing those freedoms, you shut up your enemies, you kill them, and you throw people who disagree with you into jail. We've seen that so many times in the 20th century. We need to leave that shit in the past. And, and this would be a lot easier if we were a telepathic race. We'll just say that. We'll leave it there.
Just real quick, guys, before we continue on, I must acknowledge the package of the Dragonstorm community.
Is that Kevin? Kevin.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
Ladies, understand, Kevin is a narcissistic abuse survivor, a bodybuilder, a Christian with heavy morals. All right, he is not that package is not going around anywhere. Okay, listen, he has 3 arms, Juliette.
Right.
Understand? All right,
Me too.
But you won't need to use yours. He's a good guy. He's a good man. So I'm just saying.
You can be baby girl.
Okay. Yeah, you can be baby girl. Yeah, I know you can't see it, but that icon. We used to be intimidated by it because he's a bodybuilder, and That banana hammock. You can see it. It's like it's kind of intimidating for us. But
Love that.
thank you, Kevin. What's up, bro? Good to see you, dude.
And he puts up with us talking about it all the time too. No, we were joking that we were going to make a Dragonstorm branded banana hammock and then mail it to Kevin.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that he could be like the mascot. You know, these.
If we're gonna sell a T-shirt with a banana hammock, the tripod Kevin Jang is gonna he's gonna be the
that's his job. These balls are not for sale.
I wonder if anyone has experienced this. What he's saying, narcs lie is their profession.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
I've come across, they actually tell you the truth pretty boldly. We just don't believe it. That's happened to me many times. I'm no good for you. You could do better.
Oh, yeah.
I have done this and this and this in my past. Honest.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. But you know what? It's emotional manipulation.
Well, they're trying to
We
elicit
just
that
don't think
nurturing instinct. Yeah. Like, oh, no,
I
of course
thought for
not.
the longest time that people were like me. That was a hard lesson to learn.
Oh, yeah.
They're not. They are not.
They're not. Yeah, I get it. I get
They
it,
are not of
sweetheart.
this earth.
Guilty as
They
well.
are not of this earth.
Yes.
I've been told things. Well, I never even fathomed doing those. Right? That it wouldn't be such a problem. It wouldn't present like bam, bam, bam. My socio straight up told me what was going to happen to me. It didn't even.
Well,
He invaded my identity. It didn't even jam my radar because it was operating on his system then. But he told me. My subconscious banked all of that information.
sociopaths do that. That's the craziest thing. They'll say, I'll get you arrested. I'll have you killed. I'll do, like, I've talked with a couple survivors of sociopathic abuse, and it's another level. That's another level demon.
I've made notes here on it. Preemptive admissions of guilt.
Yeah.
Preemptive admissions of guilt. They often confess something indirectly or accuse you of the behaviors they are guilty of themselves.
Projecting.
If they
yep.
say it, they say it first. It serves to control the narrative. How many abusers say I'm not abusive?
All of them.
Yeah, all of them.
For an example, I am not manipulative or abusive, so don't even try to say I am. We were talking about bread. What? But now that you mention it, yeah. These admissions or accusations create a smokescreen. So when the real issue is brought up, they can feign victimhood or claim it's already been addressed. Okay. Calling someone a cheater, if it's you, if that's happening to you, and you've never even looked out, so you haven't had time. You've been
Right.
replenishing source every 2 seconds, but they
Right.
are convinced that you are cheating. I'm gonna tell you, they probably are.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah,
They
exactly.
probably are. They actually kind of tell you quite a lot. Yes, they lie, absolutely, and I didn't want to take that away, but they also tell the fucking truth, and we just we were not trained to pick up on that. Sometimes it's in what you do not say, what you refuse to say. They
Yes.
are calculated enough to change the inflection of tone. Like, just defend or stand up for. Those could be worlds apart. Right?
Yeah.
You're going to stand up for your friend, or you're going to defend your friend, right? If you're going to defend your friend, that means that I think your friend did something wrong. You're going to stand up for them? That means they're being wronged. Looking on paper, you couldn't, right? But splitting hairs, you are going
Right.
down to splitting hairs. That's my soapbox. And it wasn't very
Preach
tall
it,
'cause I'm
sis.
only 5. I'm just saying. All right. Well, I also have, since we're on the spiritual thing, I wrote down
Yep.
using abstract thinking as a diversion tool. Okay. Word salad. They confuse you, right? But they will use abstract thinking, like bringing in things that aren't really going on with the conversation. Usually you're asking them about something, you want the truth. You're trying to figure out the truth. And if you were like me at all, I got to the point where I was not asking for the truth as a means to not set off his frontal alarm to hear what he wasn't saying. That hypervigilant, asking for truth, right? But they'll say things like, only God can judge me. Okay? What they've done there is they have absolved themselves of human accountability on this earthly plane. Because only God can judge me. Figure it out when I get there. Don't give two fucks about the consequences. I'll figure it out. And they're not even religious. Like, I came across that. Not even religious, but only God can judge me.
Right.
What?
It's like you're already setting up your next incarnation there, buddy.
Okay. Okay. Right? So then it's saying, I'm above human accountability, and your judgment doesn't mean shit to me. They have now devalued your faith, avoided all accountability together, word saladed you, used some abstract thinking to wear you down, and you're like, I was just asking where the house keys were. What is happening? Right? It's just these astronomically overinflated reactions to nothing. Because if they are overinflating or they are downplaying it, you are onto something.
Yeah.
You're onto something.
Yeah, the projection is real, and then
Yep.
turning the tables is real. If you try to ask them or confront them about something, that it turns into, well, let's look at you. Yeah,
Abstract
there's no
thinking.
accountability
You don't
there.
see the big picture while they are actively not seeing the big picture. You don't have all of the information. Okay? Well, from the 50% I can see, you're still a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Yep.
Do I need, do you have all of the
bullshit-o-meter is
information?
going
Do you
off.
know what I'm thinking? Do you know the FBI level map I have back there of your comings and goings? You don't know that. I was literally just asking where the keys were. Like, this is the kind of thing. So it makes it some kind
What
of
do you
a
mean by
philosophical thing.
keys?
Just like, whose keys?
Exactly. Yeah.
Whose keys? Okay.
Oh, it's
So
insane.
the vague high level, right? That makes reality subjective. There you go. That's gaslighting 101. Well, my God is different than your God.
Right. My God has
It's
a bigger
that
dick
easy.
than yours. Yep.
I love that. So word salad, the goal is to wear you down so you disengage out of frustration. They are sourcing at the fastest rate possible on the most expensive day of gas you've ever seen. Like, they want you to be frustrated. They want to wear you down. If you don't engage, like if you learn how to, I have a crux method to get to the crux of it. It rips the spine out of all of the bullshit and redirect them back. They will likely shut down. You still probably won't get answers, but silence is an answer. Their reactions are answers. And that's what I've been working with, forming a toolbox to teach people how to navigate, because you have to understand what you're up against. And my final soapbox thing, the most expensive price I've ever paid is underestimating how far cluster biatches will go. The most expensive. It almost cost my soul.
Yeah.
They have no limits. We do.
Right.
No,
So I want to
Steven
teach
and I
people
were
to get ahead
talking
of it.
about that. They'll convince you to unalive yourself and then turn it into something that they're going through. They're suffering. You know, oh, I tried to help him, but he was beyond help, so he left me. Poor me. It's like, no, you killed him, right? You killed her. Say it like it is, man. The
Yeah.
selfishness, the level of selfishness and self-absorption is uncharted.
Yeah. That would be like getting someone's name tattooed on your arm. And when you were asked whose name is that, you said, it's in memory of my dead wife, who was very much still at home.
Right. They use their wedding rings to
Prophetic.
pick up chicks. Yep.
That's crazy. Thank you so much for sharing that, guys. Thank you for being here. Please smash that like, share out the link. I want to go through the chat. There's some comments I just want to go through with everybody. Lili said, I'm learning that my ex stole all the pieces of my personality that I loved. He literally silenced me by stealing my joy and happiness. Sorry, dude. I'm sorry, baby. Yeah, but part of recovering is learning about yourself. And you have to isolate in order to do that. I know we've talked a lot about that, Lili. You know, removing yourself from the situation and also anyone attached to it. Because chances are anyone attached to your ex is also involved somehow in some type of toxic exchange. They're living in delusions together. The flying monkeys, there's like lesser forms of toxicity. People don't have to have full-blown personality disorders to be toxic, but if they are living in those cycles, then they are feeding off of one another. And when you're gone, there's no one to feed off of. And that gives you time to heal. So don't let them draw you back in. Don't let them text you. Don't let them create conversations. Don't let them bring you in. Taking accountability for why I allowed that to occur has only been via educating myself on NPD. And as you heal, and you're going through this anger, you're the anger stage right now. Let yourself get angry. Let yourself feel those emotions. Forgive yourself. You have to forgive yourself at some point and get over that, or else that anger is never going to go away.
You can't know what you don't know.
Exactly.
But you can keep it from happening again.
Mm-hmm. And that is the importance of learning those lessons, applying that wisdom, transmute that pain into wisdom and strength, become your more authentic self, the person you were meant to be before those scars screwed up the way that you feel and think. You've got this, Lili. I have faith in you. I think you're one of the strongest people in the world.
Fuck 'em up.
Lili was abused by a sociopath who had connections in the law, who forced her to defend herself. The law was called and she was put away for 15 years.
Reactive abuse.
Well, for defending her life from someone who was constantly terrorizing and abusing her.
That's
and the only yes. Yeah. And she came out while she was away. She did things like helped others to get their sentence reduced. She did light work while she was in hell, with other people, helped others while she served her time, came out into a whole new world, and then found Narcissist, who you know what narcissists do, used her being arrested, used her history to as something so that he could abuse her, and she couldn't fight back, trying to recreate that original trauma with the sociopath, because he would call the cops and she would be arrested, and played on that fear because she had a stigma about being put away. She had a stigma about being in jail. No matter all of her
10 layers of isolation deep right there.
Yes, exactly. And so when I've talked to her, I've said, no, that's a survivor story. Like you thriving, you doing what you did while you were away unjustly, coming out, the strength that you have, continuing to be a good person after everything that you've been through, wanting to help others, being compassionate, retaining your heart, learning how to, learning the skills that you have, and continually trying to better yourself in all of those situations. You're on a hero's journey, Lili. That's a hero's journey, sweetheart. And one day you're going to be able to tell that story when you're healed, when you're successful, when you have discernment, love yourself, and you're not putting up with that shit anymore. And people will want to hear that story. They will gain strength. They will gain strength from that. Like, you're not just healing, surviving, and thriving, sister. You're a hero. You're a hero to yourself and to every person that loves you. And like I said, one day you should start a podcast. When you're ready to do it, start a podcast. Talk about these things, because there are women and men who have been unjustly put away by abusers, by cluster Bs, and feel the same way that you have. You should never be ashamed of yourself, and never let anyone hold that against you, because you have done your best since you came out of jail. Right. You're a good human being. God bless you, sweetheart.
Daddy.
She is a badass. Let's see. I try not to put much meaning to it, but it has been on my mind since he died. And I haven't slept with anyone since his death 8 months ago. I don't think I can ever open myself up to someone else again. It's only been 8 months. Healing takes time.
Open yourself up to you. That's it.
Yes.
Try that first.
There you go.
Yes, absolutely. You have to go through the grieving process of who you were as well. And it's not your fault. You cannot protect yourself from something you did not understand. Now
Right.
you do. You have the fortunate position that you don't have to worry about Hoovers. So take that into consideration. You know, like you can isolate and grow. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I don't. No, I don't want to go yet. I was half thought.
Oh, okay, okay. You have the opportunity to heal without worrying about this, only worrying about the memory, the specter of those things, and not an actual person blowing up your phone, stalking your house, making fake accounts, sending third parties to come after you. You have that opportunity, and it's only been 8 months. It's only been 8 months. It takes a while. It took me 2 years to get my head right again. 2 years just to get my head right again.
Understand what euphoric recall is.
Mhm.
It's your brain's way of only remembering the good things. No, understand what euphoric recall is. Because you can write it down. You can write down what you're wanting to remember, where you're going back to reset to the good things, and that one time they gave you a muffin when they just spent $1,000 of your own money. Right? Like your brain reframes those things for you as a means to keep you safe in those moments. You remember it. It happened. Acknowledge it and validate yourself that it happened. You did get a muffin that one time, just for an example, and write it down. But on the other side, you write down the horrible things that happened, and that breaks and shatters euphoric recall pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good advice. Thank you, sweetie.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Peter says, at the time I was always spoken down to, I was being criticized. I was being isolated from their business, and I was mentally abused by their own behavior, finding information about myself. Well, the Hoover and Hobgoblins will dig into your past. Anything that they can do to continue the abuse and make you look like the bad person, especially if you're a hard worker, if you're dedicated, if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, because the more you shine, the more a narcissistic personality hates you. The more they'll utilize you, take your shine, take your effort, steal your ideas. They'll take those things, but you have to be the bad guy. Even though they're the evil person using you and they actively know they're doing it, they will flip the script. They live in Delulu land. Everything's opposite day with a narc. You are the bad guy. And if they can't prove that you're the bad guy because everyone can see how hard you're working or dedicated you are, how good a person you are, they will dig into your past to try and take one thing and frame it, anything from your past, and frame it in such a way to make you look like a bad person, or push you to the point of reactive abuse in order to justify their smears about you, their lies about you. They act, these people are Delulu, but they know that they are. They know that they're hurting you. They absolutely know. Just because they're nuts doesn't mean they're not. Being evil to them is being normal.
Right.
Lying about you and creating narratives and destroying you to make them look better. Their moral compass is skewed. It's opposite day. They're backwards. All that stuff that's good to them. Evil is good. Truth or lies. It's all opposite day, I'm glad that you're not in that situation anymore, Peter. That's absolutely horrible. Ashley says, crazy. It's been snowing in Louisiana. Bourbon Street is more freaky looking than normal. I need to come out to Louisiana. I'm coming down there. All right. Like I do hoodoo. So I need to take a pilgrimage down. I want to see New Orleans. I really do.
Yeah. I lived in Shreveport for a long time, so I know how weird that is.
I want to go down there so bad.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Was there something you want to say? I'm sorry.
Oh no, just well, there is something in the chat that Kevin put out there, and he really put himself out there. I don't know if you see it.
Oh, I am going to hit to that. I was actually working my way down to that.
Okay,
yeah.
good.
Yes, he says the last narc and flying monkeys behaved that way to make me think they were like me. They don't have any conscience at all. No, not at all. No, they're going to mirror you, and they're going to mirror your aspects of you in order to pull you and hook you in, but also to use you for their own false image.
Yeah, and they'll talk to your friends. They'll talk to your family. They'll talk to anybody associated with you to try to triangulate, right?
Absolutely.
I'm learning new words.
Christy Miller says, this is the first time being here. You guys seem to be a wonderful group. I'm going to follow and look for any future lives. It was really nice listening to you guys. Sweet dreams. Thank you, Christy. Sweet dreams. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Dragonstorm community. We're a little crazy here. Sometimes we talk about Star Wars. Sometimes we talk about politics. Sometimes we talk about narcs. It's a little nuts, but we're always here to have fun, look out for one another. And, as Immortal Coil says, the difference between hope and whole.
It's one letter.
Thank you, sir. Trainwreck Express are rolling through next year. Me and Immortal Coil are going to be coming and meeting you guys. Going to be holding sessions openly, talking about our experiences and helping others to learn how to heal from childhood abuse and narcissistic abuse, and how you can better yourself and manifest the life that you want. It's possible. So get ready. The Trainwreck Express is coming through probably by the summertime.
Yeah.
Kevin says I was
Yeah.
Kevin says I was essayed by some gay guys years ago, and nobody believed me and thought I was saying these for attention. That's completely awful. And this is why it's hard one of the many reasons why it's hard for men to come forward after they have been essayed. I'm a survivor of sexual abuse myself, and it's something that I didn't talk about. It was so dug into my head that men don't get that doesn't happen to men.
Right.
That it took until I was 39. I think I was 39 years old when I had just like a mental breakdown. I had a mental crash because of something that was happening in my life that led to memories resurfacing of that time in my childhood. I had hidden that from myself, even though I wasn't the only sibling that got molested. And it all came from wanting to protect the other sibling, and also guys, that doesn't happen to men. That doesn't happen to guys. It's what makes it even worse is when, a man comes forward and looks for support and talks about something that really
get shamed for it. Yeah.
Shame. We're even further emasculated by being shamed for it. So, brother, I love you, Kevin. I love the shit out of you, dude. Thank you for standing up and saying that. It takes a lot. It shows a lot of growth, man. Yeah. I love you, dude. Thank you for sharing that with us. Yeah, these people absolutely deserve hell, brother. Absolutely. Yeah, and the hero, the victim, never the villain. We're kind of at the end, so I'm going to go through and just hit a few more comments. Peter says, I have a serious question. Do narcissists have any right to ask if their victims take any kind of medication in a workplace?
Absolutely not. Your workplace isn't even allowed to ask that.
Yeah. That is no, that's just that's a form of manipulation.
It is.
Yep.
Say, did you forget to take yours today? That's how you circumvent that.
Yes. Yep. Thank you, sister. Absolutely. Your workplace isn't even allowed to really ask that, as Immortal Coil said. So, no, brother. No, protect yourself. Know your rights, man. Don't put up with that. Let's see. Did you see my first evidence? Not sure if you want to read it due to YouTube rules. I will go up and look when we find a question where they can. My panelists can take over. I'm sorry, Rose. Where do they find the time? When you live as a person when you are a person who lives off of others. When you have deep insecurities where you don't look into yourself because you don't want to trigger shame and you don't want to actually do any healing, and so you have to create this narcissistic shell, which is basically a framework of different people that a patchwork of stuff they put together in order to manipulate others. And then they have to stalk. You've got to really look at person's body language. You've got to understand their history. You got to figure out their traumas. You have to figure out how to press those traumas. And not only that one person, it's multiple people in your lives, because you need multiple sources at all time. Because if you have any idle time on your hands, if you are not around anyone, if you're not manipulating, lying, or using somebody, there's the chance that you might actually have to look inside and do some internal work. Scares the living hell out of these people. That's exactly what they're asking.
They go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
They find the time in the bathroom for fucking ever.
Well, that's the thing is you have to realize that narcissists are obsessed with you. They won't say it like that, but they are. They're constantly thinking about you. They're constantly worrying and wondering and conniving and scheming and scamming. They're obsessed. So it's almost like they are always like they live in that time. There's not there. We tend, again, we were talking about this earlier. We tend to project our own values and morality and ways of loving onto our partner because, you know, why would they ever want to hurt me, kind of shit. But they don't do it that way. They have a completely foreign way of doing things. So we think that we're just kind of like hanging out and having a good time, and they're sitting there staring at you, trying to figure out the next wrong thing with you, or inventing something in their head that you're doing that you're not. You know, it's like she was saying, I was just looking for my keys, right? They're obsessed.
Rose, it's not so much juggling all the time. A lot of times there isn't all of that forethought. It's not always so calculated. A lot of times we set ourselves up, we're doing the work for them. Once we've been worn down so much, we make it easier to lessen the impact. And then we're conditioned, we've been worn down, right? So we stop fighting back. Well, they don't even have to break a fucking sweat now. It's not always so much forethought 10 steps ahead. We are targets because we already fall in line with what they're working for. That's my 2 cents.
Thank you. No, it was well said. Thank you so much. Lili saying, I've gained 2 months of wisdom in this 2-hour podcast. Thank you. Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you for being here. Greatly appreciate every single one of you. And we're going to finish this out with Lodonis Dragonstorm. The irony was that these guys who did the essay were people I knew. They definitely have convinced themselves they are good or at least justified. It's grooming, grapey type people. Of course. Well, to them it is. So when you go into that kind of dark primal activity, it's about power and control. And people who do that type of abuse are absolutely narcissistic. There's the only way that you can feel that you can do that to another person is to treat another person like an object, an it or a thing, that they have no emotions. And yeah, I mean, just they should be strung out, put in the public square, shamed publicly, and or worse. Bring back dueling. Thank you, Coil. Yes, bring back dueling.
Waterboarding.
Yeah. Well, bro, yes, yeah. The narcissist who betrays you, uses you. Often the narcissist, the narcissist who betrays and uses you is often the narcissist you know personally. Betrayal is always by someone you know and willingly trust without realizing they're evil. Unless you are healed and you understand, have boundaries, understand yourself, trust your intuition, and you're educated in that evil exists. The hardest thing for me to understand, Kevin, we're going to end this, I think, with Kevin, my Christian brother, my spiritual brother, is that you don't think that true evil exists. Whether you were brought up in it or I have talked to clients who had a good home life. They just didn't realize that this type of evil exists, and it does. And that is why the communities like this is so important. And that's why, like, every single survivor and thriver that's out there doing content, I support. I will, because we need to get these words out. We need these spaces available. Every single one of us didn't know what we were walking into when we walked into it. And when we came out of it, how many people around you understood what you had been through? And in fact, people who love you and walked away who did not understand the situation probably added to the humiliation and your isolation and were devaluing you without even trying to, because how do you fathom that this type of evil exists?
It's not palatable.
It's not palatable. So thank you to every single person in the chat out there telling your story. Thank you to everyone who's making a channel, whether you're talking on a social media platform or you're there for someone else who has been through this, because it's so very important. Some of us lose our lives because of what we have been through. Let's make sure that never happens again. Let's be so loud and let's be so all-consuming that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if someone points a finger and go, "What are you talking about? You must be lying. That doesn't exist." Screw that person. If you got 10 haters that come at you that don't want to understand evil exists, if only one of them is someone who has survived or is surviving the abuse that we have, That's what makes it count. That one person hearing our voice. My love to y'all. So let's go around the horn and do our outros. Juliette, this is where you can tell people to shine. Tell people about your platforms and what you need to, go ahead. Tell everybody where they can find you.
Shenanigans, mostly. Some probably pretty hard truths. My biggest platform right now is on TikTok, Juliette of War on TikTok. My content, I don't have a niche because we all process in different ways, and my goal is to just say the thing, to be authentic, because the topic of the show, spiritual warfare, they erode your identity. So I'm in the phase of reclamation. I'm just going to say the thing, whatever I want, because I have a voice. And so I am just doing all of the things that I'm doing for the people who don't have a voice yet. I'm going to be loud as fuck for all of us. I have a quote that I wrote down to say goodbye to you guys with. When you can no longer trust your own thoughts, how can you trust the whispers of your soul? Start asking yourself questions. You have the answers. Quiet the noise and go in, because they try to take your identity away. There's some things they just can't take. You can call your energy back. So big love from me. Cause a scene, say the thing, scream out loud. Do what you got to do.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for being here. And next up is Immortal Coil.
What is happening, my savage friends? What a tremendous night. What a great show. This is actually one of the best shows we've had in a long time. So thank you, Juliette, for coming out. Thank you for hosting us, Stephen. I do have a new channel that I'm starting to build. I got locked out of my old Google account, so I'm back to square one. I have about 5 subs right now. So if you guys could, my link is in the description. Go ahead, like, share, subscribe. I'm starting to do some shorts again. I do have video content ideas, but currently I'm mostly focused on helping Stephen co-author the 2nd volume of The Fandom Menace. And what a volume it is. I've already knocked out about 9 chapters or co-authored them. I'm mainly just kind of going through and proofreading and making sure that all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed. But we're hoping to get that finished up and available for you later this year. Stephen did have a volume 1 that was well, I don't know if you'd call him a narcissist, man, but he tried to yank it out from underneath Stephen's feet. So we're just making sure that you guys are going to get the best quality product possible. It's very informative. There's a lot of really good stuff in there, and some of it actually does cross-pollinate into the narcissism thing. So as soon as that's ready, we will let you know, and then it's time to take over the world, baby.
Yeah, man. Much love, brother. Thank you guys so much for being here. Please remember to smash the link, share out the link, support your independent creators out there, whether they're making books, comics, growing pages. Please also support, tagged in the chat and in the description below, my good friend Chris Fisk, who's coming out with another comic book, Infinitale Chronicles 2. I am an owner of his first book. It is a wonderful book. Please take a look at that and maybe just get on the mailing list. See if you like it. See if you're into his art, his story. Check it out. Please support your independent creators out there, and make sure to make your voice heard. Never let yourself be silenced. Go out there, stand up for yourself. Strong boundaries, heal, learn discernment, and never take anything from these hoovering hobgoblins again. My love to y'all. Please, I am Lodonis, Ravenwolf, Dragonstorm, Seer and Sage. Hail to my fellow survivors and thrivers from narcissistic abuse. Please remember to wash your hands, wash your ass. Be good to each other, yet suffer no fools.
Tells me he can get me out of this mess, but he's pretty sure you're fucked.
And as usual, gentlemen, it is your daily reminder to clean your peen. That's right. Narcissists don't clean their peen. These ladies need a respectable peen. Those narcissists will put it in anything. Gay Tony at that truck stop, they will stick it in whatever hole they can get to. So it's very important, guys, when these ladies keel up and they're looking for a healthy peen, that you give their vagine something clean. So my brothers and sisters out there, be good to yourselves, be good to each other, never can suffer these fools. My love.